Hey, what's going on? I'm Jake. Welcome back to KALE Robot. This is where I cook vegetable-heavy, allergy-friendly food that tastes awesome and makes me feel good. Today, I am cooking that soul-satisfying Mexican comfort food known as pozole. Pozole to me is sort of like this weird mashup of a soup, a stew, and a salad. It has this awesome broth, this really rich, satisfying broth. Then we've got these plump, hearty kernels of hominy corn, chunks of chicken. We've got thinly sliced, crunchy cabbage. We've got, what else we have? We have slices of radish, slices of avocado, fragrant, aromatic oregano, and a squeeze of lime at the end to add some acidity and balance the whole thing. In this particular pozole, I am adding some arbol chilies in there for a little bit of heat. Otherwise, this is a pretty straightforward version of a pozole blanco. Alternative pozoles include pozole verde, pozole rojo, and pozole negro. The main distinction there is adding the appropriate salsa to the broth. Let's talk about nixtamalization really quick. What is that word you're saying, Jake? What is nixtamalization? Okay. It is an ancient Mesoamerican practice of cooking corn. You're preparing the corn by putting it in an alkalinized solution, at which time the outer layer of that corn, the pericarp, gets removed. That layer is indigestible, and once you remove it, you actually unlock all of these nutrients that are in the corn that you wouldn't otherwise get, and effectively transforms the corn into a superfood. It's a really cool process to actually take on yourself. It requires one other ingredient, and that is calcium hydroxide. Calcium hydroxide is also known as pickling lime here in the States. In Mexico, it's just referred to as cal. With this, all you have to do is you add it to some boiling water, add the corn, and you're gonna watch the corn change color like radically. It's actually super cool. You have these corn kernels, when they're dry, they're just sort of a pale white color. And then as soon as you add it to this alkalinized water, it like explodes in color. It becomes like an almost neon yellow orange type of color. And then by the time you're through and you're rinsing the corn before you cook it, it's back to a more creamy but now plump white kernel. So it's basically a very fun and delicious science experiment, if you want to think of it that way. All right, so I do understand that all of this talk of nixtamalization and Cacahuazintle Blanco and calcium hydroxide can sound a bit overwhelming. It's actually super easy once you get to see it. So let's just jump right into it now. This is sort of how I nixtamalize corn to make pozole. Okay, good news. The rest of the prep from here on out, it's all gravy. We've already nixtamalized the corn. We've put it under running water, put it between our hands. We've removed any of that excess pericarp. We've removed any residual cal. and it is now behind me, bubbling away in some simmering water. It's going to cook for about 6 hours. It's going to be ready when you taste it, and it's going to be sort of toothsome to the bite. It's going to be al dente, but it's going to be tender throughout. It won't have any sort of chalky sensation in the center. It's going to be like that perfect, plump, juicy bite. It's really killer. You could definitely cook this corn directly in the broth if you wanted. I am still cooking my broth, so I'm cooking the corn in water, and then I'll combine the two later. As far as the remaining prep goes, about an hour before you sit down to eat is when you can get started. I'm going to cook the remaining pieces of chicken. I'm going to slice the vegetables, and then the last thing that I'll do is I'm going to slice the avocado. I'll hit it with a little lime juice to prevent or at least slow down some of that oxidation that's going to happen. And then basically all you're waiting for is for those little pieces of corn to be perfectly cooked. Once they are, it is go time. And that's pozole. Not too crazy, right? You see what I'm saying in terms of this being like a soup and a stew and a salad, like all in one? You got that crunchy cabbage going into the hot broth and still staying crunchy. You've got this mix of long simmered ingredients with super fresh ingredients. Then you've got this oregano that's totally perfuming the thing from the bottom on up. It's like so incredible. It's so soul satisfying. Anyway, I thank you for coming. I appreciate you staying to the end here. If you try the recipe or you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment. It's all appreciated. But that's it for me. This is a wrap. So thank you again for coming, and I will see you next time. Bye now.